Hi, I'm in my garage working on my 2000 Harley Davidson Wide Glide. And I've had this problem with the fuel sending unit for a couple of years now, and I took it apart and looked at the problem and got it fixed. Didn't have to go out and buy a new one. Maybe you may have the same problem or similar problem. I'll show you what that is in a minute, because they're very expensive. They cost between $200 and $350. To replace the whole unit. So if you've got a decent one in your machine and you don't want to shell out the money, as long as you have all the parts here, it's not that hard of a unit to work on. Basically, what it consists of is just a little rheostat right inside of this semicircle thing. There's just a little resistor in here, and this floats up and down and activates that resistor. And so when it's down, it's empty, and when it's up, it's full. And it just sends out a resistance up through this wire, through this screw, back out onto the top here, and then into my gauge. My gauge is hooked up to my gas tank, but you'll see that in just a minute. And then there's just two power wires that come up into it from the tank. There's an orange and a black wire, which is 12 volts and ground. That's all it is. And then these two wires hook up to the actual gauge to give it the sensing off of this resistor that's inside of here based on the position of this. And that's it. It's a very simple unit, nothing complicated to it. The problem I had was when I was messing around with this, I accidentally pulled this off and the wire popped out. And in my brain, I thought that there was something that had fallen down into the tank. And so I left it because I was in a hurry to get my bike back together because I had this new paint job on it. And you know how it is when you get a new paint job, you can't wait to get it together. Well, I rushed the problem, and that's a long story. But anyway, long story short is what I'm gonna get ready to do is I'm getting ready to put this thing back together. And I wanted to show you an interesting way that it's assembled and how it goes back in the tank. If you notice here, it's got this odd shape and bend to it, and this is all for a reason. So the reason is this goes in the tank. Like if this is forward on the left hand side, this goes in this hole that I'm going to show you in just a minute, and it's supposed to sit like this, and it goes out about to the left, to the outside of the tank about 2 inches. It comes back down, and then the float is here. And the reason for that is because right below this little groove here, there's a tube that goes down that brings the 12 volts up into the system. And so there's a tube sitting right here where my finger is. And you have to work this thing around that tube to get it back into the tank. So I'm going to show you how. I'm going to change the camera angle just a minute. I'm going to show you what it takes to kind of get this thing pushed down in, and then you kind of got to give it this clockwise twist to get it in. And then when you're taking this thing out, you got to do the exact opposite. You got to lift it up, and you got to do a counterclockwise twist to get it around this thing that's in there and pull it all out. And I was having trouble. I was struggling with this. I've been struggling with this for the last hour, and then it clicked. I'm like, oh, I know how to get this out, and I know why it's kind of binding and not pulling itself out. It's because it's got to wrap around a tube. So don't think it's just going to pop straight out, because there's a tube inside the tank where the 12 volts is coming up that it's kind of got to go around. I hope that helps you guys. I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to aim my camera down onto the tank while I put it back together. And then hopefully this will help you guys out in the future. So I'm going to readjust the camera and come right back. All right, so here we go. So yeah, this is what the tank's going to look like. It's going to have a semicircle hole right there, if you can see it. And it's just enough, just barely enough for this little rubberized float, or cork float, whatever you want to call it. Maybe it's made out of foam. It's just big enough for that to get in there. I actually kind of marred it a little bit getting it in and out. And you'll see a lot of these all messed up. If you go to try to find a used one, some knucklehead has kind of like scraped off a lot of it and bent it and messed it up. But it will fit in there. So again, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to get it in there, and I'm gonna do this counterclockwise spin on it so it winds up down in the tank at this angle right here. All right, you see that? All right, so here we go. So I'm going to start here, like this, and the float goes in pretty smooth. And it gets a little tight this way. And you might have to flex this a little bit, though. You don't want to bend it though, so that it's in there crooked, and then it gets like it's like obstructing its movement against the side of the tank or against the center portion there either. Let's see if I can get this in. I don't remember struggling with this that hard the first time when I had it painted and when I put it back together. I don't know why it's doing this to me now, but. There, I got it in, okay, and now I'm going to get this other piece in there. Let me just kind of bring the camera over here so you can really kind of take a good look down inside of there. You see that? That's the next section that's got to go in. Okay, let me get my camera back. Sorry about all the jerky camera stuff. I got it on a tripod, but I wanted to show you what that hole looks like on the inside. All right, and then it just drops right in, and then it keeps on turning counterclockwise, and then it just falls right in. I'm all the way in now. You see, guys? I'm all the way in. And then the black and orange wire come out through that little gap there, and then the thing just drops right in. I'm sorry about the bad camera work, guys, but I'm holding my iPhone on a tripod here, but I wanted you to see this. And that's how it winds up going in at the end. And you just put those 5 screws in and you're all good to go. So that's it, guys. I was looking for a video on somebody trying to tell me how this thing comes in or out, because in your mind you can't see what this thing is shaped like, and you don't know if it needs to come straight out or twist or anything, but it definitely has to twist clockwise to get it out as you're pulling it up clockwise to make the float come around that tube. And then when you're putting it back in, you're going to be twisting it clockwise to have the float go back around that tube, because the float is back behind the tube. As you're sitting on the bike, the float is back towards you behind the tube. I hope that helped, guys. And put some comments in there. Give me a like if you like the video. Don't worry about subscribing. This is not that type of channel. This is just, I just put this out there for you guys. Thanks a lot. Talk to you later. Oh, one other point. This job ain't that fucking complicated. You do not have to take the tank off the bike. You can do this all on the bike. In my mind, I thought I had dropped something down in there, so I drained my tank, took it off, and was shaking it and found that there was nothing in there. It was just the doggone wire came loose. The yellow wire from the bottom of that resistor that hooks back into the screw at the top. So don't take your tank off. You can do all this on the bike. Idiot me, I did it. So let me make the mistake for you. You don't have to make that mistake. All right. So that's it. I just got to go get some premium gas, fill it back up, take it for a ride, and check out my my gas gauge should be working now. Got the Python 3s on there for some sound. You know, make sure people can hear me coming. Got flames all the way around. So yeah, that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and keep the rubber side down, guys.